everybody, this is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, coming to you today to give you an exclusive interview from Chase Matthews, and I'm going to give Chase a call here real quick.
Hello?
Hey Chase, what's going on, buddy?
How's it going, Joe?
I'm doing alright, man. Just, how you been doing, man? I heard you, recently had knee surgery, been out of action for a little bit.
Yeah. I tore my ACL back in May, and just finally had surgery on it in July, so fortunately I'm on the shelf for a little bit.
Yeah, what's your expected recovery time?
Doctor said 5 months, so hopefully by December or January I'll be back in the ring ready to go.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. So, tell me, how did this whole knee injury happen? You've been a pretty healthy guy for a while now, and I mean, did this happen out of nowhere? Was it coming, or how did this all go down?
It was actually really stupid on how it happened, to be honest with you. I was in Detroit. I had a show in Detroit for Cinco de Mayo. I was about the second or third match in. Don't really remember. Crowd was still really into the show, and I went up for it was an inverted atomic drop. I came down and felt my knee twist, and felt probably the nastiest feeling ever. Just a big pop in my knee, and I remember dropping quickly and not being able to put any weight on it whatsoever. And unfortunately, the match had to end really early. And yeah, the rest is history.
So who's your just curious, who's your opponent during that match?
He goes by the name of Lance Starr.
Yeah, how did he I mean, how did, like, I know, as we all know, I mean, things go on, but like, you know, backstage and everything. How did he feel about what happened and stuff? I mean, he felt
terrible. I had to keep telling him, you know, over and over again that it wasn't on purpose. You know, he didn't do anything on purpose. So there was no reason for him to feel as bad. I mean, everybody back there, you know, came to me and asked me if I was all right and stuff, which, you know, that's what I like about a locker room. You know, we're a big family, and you know, we got each other's backs. And when someone gets seriously injured like that, it's nice to see everybody making sure you're okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't okay. I injured myself pretty bad, but you know, every now and then I'll get messages from people out of the blue asking me how I am, and you know, it means a lot to me. So.
Now, at the time of the injury, you were a champion for another promotion, Price of Glory. You were their heavyweight champion. So, how did that situation go down? Obviously, we all know you had to, you know, drop the title because obviously the knee injury was so severe. Explain to me how that went down.
Well, June 1st was Price of Glory's last show, unfortunately. And basically, I showed up, and the marquee match was myself versus Jack Thriller, who was the #1 contender for the title. And I had to have surgery. The doctor told me I couldn't wrestle. So basically, I opened up the show with I was going to forfeit the belt. What Mark Pennington decided he was going to do with it afterwards is none of my concern. I didn't want to rob the fans of a match, and I didn't feel it was right for me to keep the title if I wasn't able to defend it. So I was going to turn it over. My speech was interrupted by Jack Thriller himself, who came out and questioned my knee injury, questioned my manhood, did everything he could to get under my skin, and then literally spat in my face, which kind of pushed me over the limit a little bit, and I went against doctor's orders and put up the belt anyway. I gave Jack what he wanted, and you know, now I think about it, I knew what he was doing the whole time. The plan went all in his favor. He knew what he was doing. He got me to challenge him for the title, and I lost via ref stoppage. I passed out in the middle of a submission hold, and the ref called for the bell, and Jack was awarded champion, and I've been on the shelf ever since.
Wow.
Unfortunately, my match with Jack actually damaged my knee more than what it was, and which caused my surgery to get pushed back because I had to go see another specialist, and my surgery got pushed back and became more serious, which put me on the shelf even longer. Originally, I was only supposed to be off for 3 months. Now I'm off for 5, possibly 6. So, just all depends on how therapy goes and all that. So,
now, do you think when you come back and you're fully recovered, do you think that at the time, even if Jack Thruller's not the champion, whoever the champion is in Presscore, do you feel that you deserve an automatic title shot? Because obviously, you know, in wrestling, if the champion loses, they get a rematch. But considering you're out for an extensive time, do you feel you should, you know, still be the automatic #1 contender to that title?
well, to be honest with you, technically, I get a rematch, but I've never had anything handed to me in my life, ever. I've always had to bust my ass to get everything that I have today. And, you know, I went through 3 of the toughest matches I've ever been in with CJ Otis to even get where I was in Press Glory. And Dollar took me to hell and back. You know, my last match with Dollar was a no disqualification match. We used chairs, we used ladders, we used, you know, kendo sticks. Dollar gave me a package file driver through a chair, and you know, I returned it with a brain buster on 2 chairs. You know, we went to hell and back, and I won the belt from him, and I've never had anything handed to me, in my opinion. So technically, do I get a rematch? Yes, but you know, I'm willing to climb back up to the top like I did before to get my shot. So whatever Mark feels like doing, you know, if he's going to reward me the rematch, then fine. If I have to start back at the bottom and work my way back up to the top again, I don't have a problem doing that either.
Yeah. So like, what do you like? What have you been doing with your time off? Have you been thinking of like, you know, thinking of different ways of how you're going to come back, or maybe incorporating a new style, or, you know, just being a wrestling fan and watching wrestling? Is there anything, you know, I mean, because I know being a performer, you know, you have obviously a passion there, and when it gets taken away from you like that, you know, I've always known others, you know, to try and surround themselves with it as much as they possibly can. So, like, I mean, like what kind of things are you doing with your time off?
Well, unfortunately, I've not even able to work my real job. So I've been watching wrestling every single day. I'm watching something, and I've been kind of, you know, studying and incorporating new things into my style, and I've even considered becoming more of a ground and pound guy. You know, I've thought about improving my ground game a lot more. Maybe add some submission holds to my arsenal. But you know, I don't know, man. Like, the one thing about this injury is you gotta tell yourself you can't be scared, because if you go in, you're scared that it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again. Or either that, or it's going to hold you back from your full potential. And I don't want to do that. And so even if I could go in with a completely new style, a completely new moveset, I'm willing to do it. But I just got to keep it out of my head that it's going to happen again. Fortunately, the doctor told me that if everything rehabs well and I get back to 100%, my knee will actually be 200% stronger than it was before. So I use that as motivation.
Yeah, that's definitely a good motivating tool. Now, would you say, like, I mean, obviously you had goals before this injury and whatnot, but have your goals changed at all now that you're injured? And I mean, do you have a different mindset of your goals when you come back?
Not really, man. I had the same views as I did before. I mean, I've only been wrestling for 2 years, and I've been told by a few people, it seems like I've been wrestling longer than that. It's my ability to catch on quickly has really helped me, in real life and in wrestling. And, I don't know, like, I'm still determined. I'm determined as ever now. So, I mean, nothing's really changed. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give everybody the best I can give them. And I'm not really going to let anything stop me. So.
Now, like, in terms of, like, the Michigan wrestling scene, is there anybody out there that you haven't faced yet that you'd like to face?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I haven't, for Michigan-wise, some of the Michigan guys here, I'd like to, actually, that's really a hard question. It really is. I don't know, man. I want to wrestle anybody, I guess. Anybody that I can put in the ring with, I want to wrestle them. I don't really have a guy that I really want to wrestle. Like, I want to wrestle anybody and everybody.
Okay, well, okay, so if you could pick 3 guys that you've already wrestled that you would like to wrestle when you come back, who would they be?
Well, Jack Thriller's one of them, for sure. Hands down. I would love to have another match with CJ Otis, just to show him how far I've come along and show him what he's done for me. Man, I can name more than 3. I haven't seen or wrestled John Campbell in a long time.
Yeah, that's very true.
I would like to wrestle him at least, one more time, or as many times as I can.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a good competitive match with Dollar again.
Yep.
Maybe, because in my opinion, if I still had the belt, he deserved a rematch. And even though the last time his rematch was in a fatal 4-way with me, Jimmy Shaolin, Dale Patricks, it was a 4-way. It wasn't a 1-on-1. So, I would like to have another match with Dollar, just 1-on-1. So that's. But other than that, man, I'd like to wrestle anybody I can.
Yeah. Now, thinking outside of Michigan, just like legends, past or present, whether they're indie or been in the Hall of Fame. Like, if you could think of like 5 guys, past or present, doesn't matter if they're independent, WWE or whatever. Who would you like in the dream world? Who would you like to go against?
Well, not too long ago, back in May, I was scheduled to wrestle Dan Severn, and unfortunately, that opportunity was taken away from me because of this knee injury. And I know Dan is coming to his end on the wrestling scene, but if I can get in the ring with him, you know, that'd be pretty cool on my part. Just because Dan showed me, Dan's the one that brought me into this. You know, he introduced me to wrestling when I was younger, and about seven years ago, you know, I showed up to Dan's facility and I wanted to learn how to wrestle, and he taught me the basics, taught me what I needed to know to start off, and you know, I'd like to have a good old-fashioned teacher versus student. I don't know, man. I was told that one of my first matches back, there's a possibility I could be wrestling Zach Gowen. That'd be pretty cool, in my opinion, to wrestle somebody who's seen what he's seen. I think I'd have a lot of fun with that. I wouldn't mind actually having a match. POG 100, if I was healthy, there was talks of possibly having a match with Jim Jacobs. I thought that would be pretty cool, in my opinion. You know, especially, I could learn a lot from him, and especially, you know, of all the stuff he's seen and done. It'd be a really good learning experience for myself. And if you want to go into like fantasies, pretty much, obviously Daniel Bryan and CM Punk would be. I could probably die a happy man if that were to ever happen.
Yeah, I know. I know based on a lot of our conversations, it's one thing, you know, that you and I have always had in common is that, you know, we kind of appreciate, you know, the pure wrestling aspect of things more than we do the entertainment of things. And, you know, obviously, you know, I still consider Punk and, you know, Daniel to be the two best wrestlers in the world right now. I mean, not just because of how they're put on TV, but I mean, where else you gonna, you know, find guys right now that can really tell a story, you know?
Right. And the thing about those guys, you know, and guys like Adrian Neville on NXT, like these guys they're tiny. They're small. Like they're not your Hulk Hogan's and how people used to view wrestling. And granted, these guys are worlds apart from, you know, where I'm at, and you know where a lot of the guys are that I know on a personal level that wrestle. You know, they're in another universe, but it's always that, like, you can see these guys in their, you know, 5'10", 5'11", barely even 6 foot, and they got a job. And to me, that's inspiring. Like it gives me that false hope. It gives me that goal that it's a good chance it's unreachable, but it's what keeps me motivated.
Yep.
When I see Daniel Bryan, I just found out the other day, is, I believe, 5'8". And
yep.
I'm 5'8", 5'9", if I'm lucky. Like, we're the same height, and he works for WWE. He's worlds apart. You know, my ability versus his ability is, you know, universes apart, but it still motivates me. It motivates me to get where he's at, and which is why I literally watch something that deals with wrestling every day. And you know, I want to be there someday, but that's everybody's dream. You know, some guys can say if they want, they can rip apart Vince McMahon, they can rip apart WWE, but I don't care who you are. Everybody who gets into wrestling, their biggest dream is to be there.
Yep.
So, then, you know, it's nice to have a goal like that, but it's all, you know, you also got to keep it in your head that there's a great chance that you're not going to get there.
Yep.
So I don't know. You just got to get into it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and the thing of it is you know, I mean, and I've heard multiple interviews, you know, with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and they're definitely not in it for the money, and you can, and I think sometimes it shows, and it's not even WWE related, even on independent shows, you can really tell who wants to be there because they love it, and who wants to be there because they want a payday, and you can tell guys like Punk and Bryan want to be there because they love it. You know, that's what they love doing.
Right. Yep. I mean, I view like what I do. You know, everybody asks me. You know, when I tell them what I do and when I tell them how I injured my knee, you know, everybody asks me, "Oh, well, is there any money in that?" Not where I'm at, but that's not even a concern of mine. Like as much as I love wrestling, I love doing it. You know, you gotta still view it as a hobby.
Yep.
For now, like I always tell everybody, I pay. You know, when I'm not wrestling, I'm a bowler. I go bowling a lot. And,
yeah.
I pay to go bowling. I don't get paid to go bowling. You know what I mean? Like, I pay to wrestle. You know, I pay for the gas money to get where I need to go. And it's not really a concern of mine if I get any pay in return. You know, and that's not why I do it. So.
That's a good way of looking at it. A lot of people, you know, there's people I've met out there that have the mindset, well, you know, if it's not enough money, I'm not going to take the booking. But then there's other people like you, and there's another person I know out there that's like, you know, if it's a booking, so it's a booking. You know, it's a chance to work, it's a chance to wrestle, and you know, it really, like I said, it really shows. You know, when I mean, I've talked to. Gentleman John Campbell about this a few times. He's and he kind of has that same frame of mind where, you know, if somebody wants me to wrestle for him, it don't matter. The pay, you know, the reputation of the promotion, that's all irrelevant because it's still, you know, a match that I can gain experience on. And you know, I think a lot of people don't have that mindset, and that's why they're not as successful. But you know, I see that out of you, obviously, and obviously John, and I think that's why you know he's getting ahead of where he's at. And obviously when you come back from your injury, that you know you're definitely on the definitely on the right mindset of, you know, it's not about the money, it's about the love of what you're doing. And like I said, you can definitely tell who loves it and who doesn't, you know.
Right. And don't get me wrong, man, like there are guys that deserve every bit of money that they ask for, you know, like, you know, Rhino obviously deserves to get paid, Jimmy Jacobs obviously deserves to get paid. Like these guys that done everything, you know, they were where I'm at one day, you know, and they took their abilities and made a name for themselves. And like those guys obviously deserve to get paid, which, for instance, you know, I was on Heroes and Legends 1, and I went to Jason about being on that show. I'm on the poster. My name is on the poster with Bret Hart. You know, that's huge for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And some guys, I've sit in the locker room sometimes, and you know, there's guys that where I'm at today, and you know, oh well, as long as I get paid, you know, like that's a terrible attitude to have, in my opinion. Like but you know, obviously you can't tell everybody what to do. Like everybody's gonna look at it differently, but I believe, you know, that's part of the reason why I've gone places I have been, because I view that I'm a pretty respectful person. You know, when I meet people for the first time, I do my best to make sure that, you know, I'm wanting to come back. So.
Well, and it's funny because you mentioned Rhino, because, and this is just a personal story, because I was you know, Rhino when he first started, even before he made it big. I mean, I remember watching him, you know, when he was making $25 a night, and you take a look at someone like that, and then fast forward, you know, 15 years, because that, you know, that's when I started watching him. I used to go to local wrestling shows in Grand Rapids when it was big, and you know, fast forward 15 years, I'll look at all the stuff that Rhino's done. So, I mean, you take a look at some of the talent in Michigan, and you know, there is hope there, because I was talking to Nate Matson a while back, and I told him, you know, because he's one of the guys that helped train Chris Sabin. And, you know, Chris Sabin, you know, obviously winning the TNA World Heavyweight title, that just, you know, being from Michigan, I'm sure you might agree with this, that just wasn't a, you know, win for Chris Sabin. That was, in a lot of ways, a win for the Michigan independent wrestling scene, because that's where he came from. You know, he is one of many talented guys on the Michigan indie scene. And you know, there's guys out there right now, like, I mean, you know, I can name quite a few that haven't even been noticed yet, that I think if they were noticed would be very successful.
Right. And I'll tell you what, man, I've had a chance to meet Rhino on 2 different occasions, and he's one of the coolest guys that I've ever met. And I actually got to meet Shane Douglas last weekend, and another cool guy. Like, some people, they were wondering how he was going to be, you know, when we got in the locker room. Was he going to get, you know, I've been in the locker room with guys that have made it, and, you know, they were just coming to the end of their career, and, you know, they're getting bitter about it, and they're not very nice about, you know, about things. And, you know, I'm one of those guys that I leave people alone anyway. You know, I don't bother anybody. You know, I introduce myself, and that's it. And I just let them be, let them do what they do. And but man, like, Shane Douglas was full of advice, full of stories. You know, and I love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times I get on the internet, you know, on YouTube, and I'll watch interviews. Like,
yep.
It's crazy, but I like hearing. Like, you learn just by hearing stuff like that too. And Rhino was another guy. Like, after the show, you know, people were coming up to Rhino and talking to them and asking them, you know, where he thought was one of the best places to get trained at. And he was answering everybody's questions, like, you know, what kind of diet to get on, stuff like that. It's like, you know, you're taking time out of your day. You know, it's already 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. You know, and you still gotta go back to, you know, where you came from. But yeah, you're taking the time right now to hang out after the show and talk to fans. Like, he wasn't in a rush to get back in the locker room at all. You know, he was still in his gear talking to people. It was really cool. Like, and guys like that, you know, that's it's good for people, because, you know, if a fan comes up to one of those guys after the show, and, you know, they're getting all kinds of advice from him, and they're cool as ever, you know, that's what gets more people involved in wrestling. And it's really cool to me, like, seeing people like that. You know, as a wrestler myself, it was cool to experience.
So fast forwarding to 2014, because that's probably when you're going to be back. I mean, what kind of statement do you want to make when you come back?
I want to make a statement that I haven't lost a step. You know, like, I want to make the impact that I feel I was starting to make before. You know, like, I don't really know any other guy in Punch and Glory Wrestling that was the heavyweight champion in under a year. You know, like, you know, Jack Thriller trained me. Jack Thriller, took him 4 years, I think, to hold a title, and you know, I did it in under 2 years. And You know, as much as, you know, as much as I'm supposed to have, you know, have this beef with Jack and the guy trained me, you know, like I have a respect for him whether I'm supposed to or not, but, you know, I owe everything to him. You know, I've been, I feel that I've been successful so far. You know, I've wrestled for Ian Rock in IWA Mid-South, and, you know, people say what they want about that place, but all the names that have been there. You know?
Yeah, it's funny you say that too, because when you told me IWA Mid-South the first time that we talked about that, the first thing I thought of was CM Punk versus Chris Hero, and as like if anybody's gonna knock IWA Mid-South, then they better start watching some of the matches they put on long time ago.
Oh, yeah, I had the Penny Invitational from 2004. It's by far one of the best shows I've ever seen. And you know, Ian has had some hell of shows, and it came as a shock to me when I went down there because, you know, obviously I was still training, you know, and I'd wrestled here and there, you know, but you know, I didn't have a lot of experience in me, and I still don't to this day. I mean, like I said, I'm only 2 years in, but I know a lot more now than I did back then, and I had an opportunity to wrestle for Ian, which I greatly appreciated. And the second time I went down there, I got a chance to wrestle both nights for him. So, I mean, I can't really say anything bad about the guy. You know, people say what they want. People have their own stories, but, you know, from personal experience, I respect Ian Rotten, you know, to the fullest. And, you know, I don't know, man, like, I've been there, and I've wrestled in Detroit, which it sounds goofy, but wrestling in Detroit was one of my biggest goals, you know, and I want to go to Chicago, and, you know, I want to go there, and pretty much anywhere I want, or anywhere I can, really.
Yep.
That's my, I just want to make a statement, you know, and I owe all my respects, and I owe everything to Jack Thriller, whether I'm supposed to or not. I owe everything to him, because if it wasn't for him taking time away from himself to show me what I needed to do, I don't think I would have made the impact that I've made. You know, I would have never been Classic Glory champion. You know, I would have never been able to go into places and show promoters what I had and be asked to come back if it wasn't for training under him. So.
Well, one thing I can leave you with for some positive thinking and for some hope is back in 2002, because it's funny you brought up IWA Mid-South and, you know, Ian, and it's a personal story I want to share with you, and maybe it'll give you some hope. I remember, you know, 2002, that's when, you know, the internet started getting really big, and YouTube and everything, and I caught this match on IWA Mid-South. It leaked out or whatever, and it just it happened to be a triple threat match, and it was right after WCW closed, and it wound up being Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and an unknown CM Punk at the time, and you know, I became a huge fan of CM Punk, as you know, a lot of people know that story about me, and you know, who knows, man, someday your match from IWA Mid-South can get leaked out, and somebody's gonna say, hey, that guy is gonna be a great wrestler, and who knows where you could go with that. I mean, like you said, there is a lot of great talent that, you know, started in IWA, and you know, I hope when you do come back from injury, you reconnect with Ian and get back down there and you know, just tear everything up, man. Just not just in Michigan, but anywhere you can, because you know, I remember you saying it's been 2 years, and I remember one of your first matches. It was right in Grand Rapids against John Campbell, and I kind of had a feeling then that you're going to be somebody special, and then from that time until your injury, you've been pretty much on fire. So, I mean, 2014 is going to be big year for you. Is there any final thoughts you want to leave us with? Like anything you want to say about when you return?
Just everybody be ready. I'm willing to, like I said, I'm willing to start from the bottom and work my way up again. And I'm not desperate. I'm just determined. I'm determined to get where I was before and to exceed beyond that. So I'm not gonna let something like this get in my way when I come back. But just an example, like what Jack got in the ring and spit in my face and questioned my manhood. Like I'm not afraid to back down from a fight, and I think that's one of the reasons why I've done the things that I've done so far. Like especially with Price Glory, Dallas cheated his way through with our matches, but I just kept coming back. Like I wasn't gonna let it stop me. So, and I'm just gonna do another thing that motivates me is I actually got a chance to meet and speak with Truth Martini, who actually saw one of my matches in Detroit before I got hurt, and he had all but positive things to say about me, and gave me advice and some motivation. And I've actually been taking that motivation quite seriously, and I'm just gonna apply it to myself and hope for the best. I'll go as far as I'm allowed to go, and that's the way I look at it. Like I got goals, but if you spend your whole life trying to reach an unreachable goal, you're gonna go nowhere.
Yep.
I'm gonna go as far as I'm able to go, like as far as I'm allowed to go.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's definitely a good attitude, man, and you just keep on the road to recovery, and like I said, we're all looking forward to you returning in early 2014, and I really appreciate you taking the time out today, man. It's always good to hear from not just one of my favorite wrestlers I enjoy following, but somebody who's also a supporter of Hollywood's World of Sports. That's always a good thing to have it reciprocated. And like I said, man, I definitely wish you the best on recovery and returning. And I know in my heart that you are going to come back better than ever.
I appreciate it, Joe.
So, all right, man. Well, you take care, man, and keep us all updated on how things are going. And then definitely, like I said, man, get back soon for sure.
All right, cool, man. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem, buddy.
Yep, I'll talk to you later.
Yep, bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Chase Matthews, an up-and-coming superstar on the Michigan independent scene. If you want to check him out on Facebook, just type in Chase Matthews, Coldwater, Michigan. Had a lot to talk about today, so definitely appreciate him coming on. This is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, your source for all things sports. And remember, as always, controversy doesn't come without criticism. Have a good day, guys.